If everybody can hear and see me okay, I'm just going to stay seated if that's okay. All right. Hello, my name is Shali Bubanek, and I'm with Premier HR Solutions, and I am honored to be on the nomination committee for the Ethics in Business and Community Award. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day to come down and spend a part of the morning with us to find out about the award. We have a pretty busy morning planned for you, and hopefully you'll leave with some very valuable information. Wanted to give you a little bit of background about the Ethics in Business and Community Award. Some of you, when I spoke to you on the phone, when I called you about the nominations, you had not heard about it, and word is still getting out. But the Ethics in Business and Community Award was started about 14 years ago by the Samaritan Center. And the Samaritan Center is part of St. David's Foundation, one of their programs, and they provide mental health services to Austin families and the U.S. veterans. And they wanted to have an award which honored and recognized individuals, nonprofits, and businesses in the greater Austin area that really gave back to the community and exemplified high ethical standards in their business practices and in their nonprofit practices. So they established the award about 14 years ago. And then in its 10th anniversary, another nonprofit called Recognize Good adopted the program. And Recognize Good was started by John Bosch and his group as a way to recognize and give people a means to recognize their employees, individuals in the community, and nonprofits that were doing great work. If you haven't had an opportunity to visit the website recognizegood.org, I strongly recommend you to do so because you can learn a lot about some of the people that they've recognized and some of their other programs. So that's how the program started and how it's evolved, and it is continuing to evolve. This year we put together a speaker series. Don Canada's here. He's helping us with that, and Bob Lewis. And we're going out and doing speaking engagements at civic organizations. We did one at McNeil High School and really emphasizing the ethical beliefs, core values, and practices throughout the Austin area. So that tells you a little bit about the programs and who's behind the programs. What we've got planned for you today is a variety of information. Dr. Lynette Gillis, the Dean of the School of Business from Concordia University, Texas, is here, and she's going to take you through the process and the criteria and how that flows. We've got a past winner here to speak with you about what it meant to go through that selection process and win that award. And we have a couple of very brief videos of last year's recipient award winners, so you can get a good feel for them. And that's basically what we're going to be doing today, as well as opening up an opportunity for you to ask questions. And I promise we will end promptly, no later than 12:30. Okay? So to begin, I'd like to introduce a past winner. We have the CEO and president of Tyrex Manufacturing Group, Andrew Cooper, here. They won the award in 2007, and he's going to visit with you a little bit this morning about that. Andrew?
Thank you, Shali. I really appreciate that. First of all, I have to bring this to the forefront because this was the actual award that we were presented, and it's something that sits in my office, and we have a couple of replications of that are positioned around our factories and around our different offices as a reminder of what ethical business practices are all about. So welcome to the Ethics in Business and Community Nomination Seminar. For those of you that know me know that one of my personal goals in life is that I try to meet a new person every day. So if you saw me in the audience putting out my hand and saying hello, that's kind of the way I like to conduct my life. And for me personally, this is kind of a boon because I got to meet a few folks. So I think I'm done for the week. My name's Andrew Cooper, and thank you all for coming out and your interest in understanding what the ethics in business and community format is all about. As nominees in the various categories, you are already doing great work in your respective areas and clearly demonstrating ethics as a core competency. This is truly a celebration and recognition of those companies, individuals, and nonprofits that exemplify and strive for ethical behavior. My hope is that you will continue the journey to embrace what it takes to do what is right and challenge your personal and professional code of conduct to push the boundaries of ethical behavior. And just as a quick reminder of what the categories and tenets are, the 5 tenets are: be respectful, be fair, be honest, strive for justice, and embrace sustainability. The categories, as you all know as well, are business, and there are 3: small, medium, and large, nonprofit, and individual. You know, as we mentioned, 2007 was a few years ago, and I had to reflect back on that because it seems like it was just yesterday. But as a company and previous recipient in 2007, the award means more to me today than ever before. And I think every day and every year that passes, it continues to mean more and more. It represents an idealistic goal that can never fully be achieved, but a journey and symbol of how we would like to conduct our business and our professional, personal, and community engagements every single day. This is a team effort. So as a corporation, it had very little to do about me, and it had a lot to do about the corporation and the people that I'm surrounded with. But it's a team effort, and for me, one that highlights is being surrounded by an organization that is supportive and quick to point out what is fair, honest, and above all, ethical. As a founder in the company, which is now 20 years in the making, we've been through a wide range of economic challenges, technology advancements, workforce diversity, all of which has made us more robust, humble, and above all, stay true to our diamond disciplines. Our diamond disciplines are focused around employee well-being, prosperity, longevity, community citizenship, professionalism, entrepreneurial behavior, and innovation and imagination. The circle of this business trust embodies ethical behavior as its core foundational component. For the Tyrex Technology family of companies, this award has now become both the standard and the lore that makes our employees and company proud to be a past nominee and recipient. And I can't tell you how many times in our daily lives, in our business transactions, in our presentations with other corporations and companies and the community that we serve, that this doesn't come up. We talk about it all the time and what it means to us. Every day, the company wakes up and runs as hard and as fast to achieve as much as possible by committing to the success of everyone around us and holding our ethical standards high. The business today is a complex three-dimensional chess game where we must always ensure what we do does not create an imbalance or ethical dilemma by having conflicting standards or dual guidelines between companies, business partners, or community organizations. We honor our customers and community by being transparent, committing to their success, and certainly hope they will commit to ours. Often I'll talk about things that we're discussing in a meeting, and the running joke is, I'm not going to do something that I have to put a cocktail napkin over our ethics and our values. So this is something that we talk about frequently and know that that's just not something we're going to do or sacrifice. We're all faced with numerous decisions every day, and with the speed and velocity and informational overload that's bombarding us, it can be very easy to get lost and take a wrong turn or approach a decision that may need some course correction. The key is to embrace every aspect of our personal and professional interactions and continue to pursue what is right, what is fair, and above all, what is ethical. I'd like to close with a couple of previous comments, and that is, first of all, I can share with you that the engagement with Concordia, the students that will come to your companies and your organizations are incredibly professional. They will make themselves readily available at your schedule. It's not a disruptive process. It's very much collaborative, and one that I think you will find engaging and at the same time makes you reach for the best in all of us. But my hope is that you'll all continue the journey to embrace what it takes to do what is right, to challenge your personal and professional code of conduct, and to push the boundaries of ethical behavior. And so with that, one of Xerox's funny quotes they used to say was, "Keep up the great work and copy shamelessly." And I do believe that leadership is important, and demonstrating what is fair and ethical is equally important. And that's how we learn those values as we all grow and come together. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think a great way to set the stage is to take a look at last year's winner.
When we were presented with this opportunity to even be considered for this award, and now we've gotten to the finalist stage, I really like the fact that our employees know that Atchley & Associates has been recognized by people in the community as people who have high ethical standards. And I really hope that as they think about their association with us, to have some pride, and also it challenges them to their own high standards.
Being recognized for the Ethics in Small Business Award is just an incredible honor. It, to me, means that everything that we have strived for internally for years is emulating to the outside world, which is, to me, the ultimate compliment. I have worked a lot of places. I have been in the Air Force for 21 years. I had my own practice. And even through all of that, this is probably the best place that I have ever worked. And it's quite an honor to be here because of the way we behave and the way we deal with each other. It's one of the most respectful environments I've ever worked in.
Ethics means doing the right thing when no one's looking. It means making tough decisions seem really easy sometimes. Sometimes they feel tough, but you know deep down in what the right thing is to do, and you step up to the plate and do it regardless of what the consequences are. When this firm was started in 1999, we really did start it with an idea of core values being the basis of who we are. And it just, I think, confirms that we did the right thing starting with that as our basis, and that we've continued to live it, and that the community now recognizes us for having ethical behavior.
For our next discussion, so you got to hear a little bit about the company and what their values are, but what you really came here to hear about was, what is the process? How does this happen? Who selects? Who collects the information? What do I need to be able to contribute? And so Dr. Lynette Gillis from the School of Business is here, and she's going to take you through that process today.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes, my name is Dr. Lynette Gillis, and I represent Concordia University and the College of Business. We have been involved with the process of the Ethics in Business Award since about 2008. And I have been a part of it for the last 4 years as the faculty mentor to the students in the process. The students, let me tell you a little bit about them. They are specially selected for a program, a leadership program and a scholars program that we have. They are identified by their faculty and by peers. They are then invited to apply. They write an essay and apply for our program. We select, going into the spring, I have 12 students coming into the program that will be the researchers in this project. And I always tell them that this is not, they do get course credit for it. I tell them this is not a course for you. This is a life experience. This is something that will shape your perspective in a way that a class cannot. They will have real life examples and experiences that you will provide to them that will shape their perspective and their future. So thank you for being a part of the process and for impacting students. We do really appreciate that. They are selected for their motivation, internal drive, and their engagement in the classroom and outside of the classroom. They tend to be high-achieving students academically, but they're chosen for more than that. That's sort of the baseline criteria, and then it's we look for that student that is hungry for more. Those are the students that you will be involved with and have the chance to interact with and impact. So that's a little bit about them. One thing that I always want to say is, sometimes we have at the awards banquet, a winner in each of the categories will be selected. From our perspective, every person that is nominated is a winner. And as you heard in the video, it means a lot to these nominees. It means that they can tell their employees and the people that they work with that they've been recognized for ethics. And through that, build morale and build their company and help strive for improving their organization and the region, the community, in a long-term perspective. You heard a little bit about the categories. There are 5 this year: nonprofit, small business, mid-sized business, large business, and individual. You have a handout in your materials that has at the top Ethics in Business in Concordia University. I'm going to walk you through this. This is the process and the criteria that we go through. The criteria were also mentioned. There are 5. The reason this criteria comes out of a book called The Ethical Imperative that we have used to sort of break down ethics. One of the challenges with ethics is people have their own interpretations of it and an own understanding of what it means to be ethical. So this sort of gives us criteria and an understanding of what it means to be ethical. So the first criteria is respecting others. And the sort of our definition here is that all interactions are conducted with humanity and human life is enhanced. Some of the things that we tend to look for in this is safety policies, wellness policies, family-friendly policies, work-life balance that people tend to have, anti-discrimination, training opportunities for advancement in careers, that demonstrates that you respect the individual as a human and desire that their life is valued. The second is be fair. Organizations and individuals will practice their business with equanimity and care. This is equal access to resources, sometimes fair pay policies, diversity in the workplace, job advancement, equality. We tend to look at these first couple in a lot of policies and practices that are enforced throughout the organization. The third is being honest. The organization individual operate truthfully and value integrity as a way of doing business. One of the things you heard in the video was the company value statement. And we'll certainly look at value statements and the way in which they're embedded into the culture and the climate of the organization. That decisions are made based on values and a core set of values that the organization ascribes itself to. Striving for justice is the fourth. Balance of business and life with moral obligations, honoring intrinsic human rights, and contributing to the common good. We will look at organizations, and we've seen so many amazing organizations that strive to make the world a more just place. They strive to help the underserved populations of the world through mentoring programs, programs that encourage and, in fact, reward their employees for volunteering in the community. Individuals who give of their time and their resources to boards and other nonprofits and time and service in a variety of ways. Nonprofits that seek to collaborate with other nonprofits to improve the community, that their core business is one of seeking justice in the world. Embracing sustainability, managing nature as an asset, not to destroy, and instead respect to strive to improve the ecosystem. And we often see waste management programs, recycling programs, composting programs, rideshare types of things, community cleanups, anything that involves the environment. We're looking for ways in which organizations and individuals strive to improve the environment in that criteria. And that is a little of the criteria. The process then, there's really 2 primary phases for all of the nominees. 3 in a way. The nomination process is the first. Many of you will be nominated, some by people you know, some you won't even know who nominated you. And I think that that's an amazing thing, that someone in the community has recognized you and you may not even know who that is, and put you out as saying, this is an organization or an individual that represents ethics to me. The nomination process will close December 31st. In early January, Recognize Good has and will continue to contact all of the nominees and to get their interest and to let them know that they will be contacted by Concordia University so that when they get their first phone call and email from us, they don't wonder who we are and why we're contacting them. So that's the first process. We will begin the initial round of research and data gathering early in January. So under where it says telephone interviews, January 12th through 30th, about those 2 weeks in January, we will have reached out, set up at least a phone interview. Some people prefer a face-to-face for this first one. We want to be as flexible to your schedule and your needs as possible, recognizing that you all are busy people with running important organizations. So we will do that in those 2 weeks in January. We'll gather and compile data. This is where we will be asking you for any policies and resources, anything that you can share with us, and telling your stories. In this phase, we're really looking for comparable data, stories, and also things that we can tend to compare. They will come with a list of questions, and when they set up their phone interview, we'll also get an email address and email you those questions in advance so that you can prepare. The questions are based on the criteria. We will also search internet. We'll look at your website. We'll look at core values. We'll look at any press and publicity that's been out, gathering the data that we can. It is a collaborative effort. We'll be seeking your advice and your input in the process and your help in gathering data. We will collect it as a group, and then the students at this phase will have numerous discussions around ethics. We'll be reading the book. We'll have some guest speakers that will help guide our discussions, and a set of finalists will be selected from the group of nominees. And we will have 3 finalists in each category, which then moves us to the second phase, the in-depth research phase. Each one of the finalists will participate, and this is where you being informed is helpful for us. We'll participate in an in-depth site visit research process. So we will have a research team, and each nominee will have one primary contact with a team that supports that contact. So essentially each student will have 1 or 2 that they're the primary researcher on. The team will then come out to your site and conduct some interviews and hopefully get a tour. You'll see in here on the site visit that there is a list of some people that we'd like to be able to interview. So for all the businesses, to the extent that you have someone in HR, an employee, someone who represents finance, an executive, and perhaps a customer or a supplier, any external type of contact that you can provide to us. My recommendation to you and to my students is that you set it up as sort of a roundtable discussion. It is very hard to schedule those back-to-back or for people to come at different times. It is far easier to have a roundtable discussion where, what one person, a story that someone's telling somebody else might be able to say, oh yeah, and there's this other story. It might trigger something so we don't leave things out and we get full stories that help that process. It's also better for you with your time and your resources. So to the extent that that's possible, we'd like to conduct those in that way. If it's easier for you to do those as individual interviews, we can certainly do that as well. In the nonprofit, we ask for a volunteer, an executive, perhaps a board member, a donor. Again, it will vary by each organization as far as what we can get access to, but the more committed you are to the process, the better information we get, the more stories that we get, and the better data we get for our research reports. In the individual category, we will ask for 2 references. So that's sort of how that works out. The first week of March, we will be trying to get on your schedules to conduct these site visits in the last 3 weeks of March and the first week of April. So we have about a 4-week window that we're looking at trying to get those site visits scheduled and conducted. After that, the students will come back and they will gather all their data and write very detailed research reports. I do want you to know that I ask them to sign a confidentiality statement before they go in and do all of their interviews. In the reports, we will have no names. We will talk about the organization, but we won't say, Lynette Gillis said. We will not do that. That will remain confidential and anonymous. in the process. The research reports will be written, they'll prepare a presentation, and a selection committee will be gathered. The selection committee is made up of past winners, business leaders from the community, people who've been involved in the award in the past. We will gather them in I'll be inviting them in March. They will meet in April. They'll have a couple of weeks to read through the reports. There will be 15 reports that they need to read through that are somewhat lengthy. So we'll give them a couple of weeks to do that. We'll meet in April. The students will present, and then the students will be dismissed. The selection committee will have their own discussion and then vote by secret ballot. And I like to not know who won, so I show up at the banquet and am surprised like everyone else. So that is part of the fun of it for me. The awards banquet is Thursday, May 21st. It is from 11 to 1 that day over a lunch time. It is a great event that is largely supported by the community, and I hope that you all will come out and continue to support that event. So what's your role in this? Your role is educate our students. Many of them will say that it's a life-altering experience for them, that they read about ethics, and you can read case studies all day long, but it doesn't compare to walking into a business and having the access and the information and the real-life stories. When we get to that detailed research phase, that's really what we're looking for. We will have looked at policies and seen what you have and looked at core value statements, but we want the stories. And sometimes the best stories are the ones that involve a mistake that was made and how it was addressed and what changed because of it. Don't expect there is no perfect business. There is no individual that does everything exactly right. And so the story is when I messed up, what did I do because of it? And how did I change? And what impact am I making? And what do I strive to, what difference do I strive to make in the world? Because of who I am, because of the business that I'm in. I have lots of quotes from students, and one said, what I've learned is that there is hope for building a future where ethical business practices are the standard and not the exception. Others have said that, that this process has given them hope and it gives them something to strive for. So I thank you for being a part of that education, a part of helping them understand ethics and giving them that perspective. I think one of the larger impacts of this award and of Recognized Good is that it will impact you and your organizations and how you do your business and the pride you have in what you do, and reinforces that. But I hope that others will see it and others will emulate it. And as a whole, the region, the Austin community and Central Texas will be impacted because of it. That ultimately every business will be ethical and we'll be looking at the best of those, and we already are, but we hope that it continues to improve. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to take a look at another video before we open for Q&As.
What ethics means to me is the age-old principle that we've heard from the time we enter grade school, that you treat others the way you want to be treated. It's important to us as a company. As the person in charge of the operations team, our customers are not only external, but also our employees. And everything that we do every day, it really is as simple as just thinking through, if this were me, if I were on the other end of this, how would I want this to be handled? And the fact that we're being recognized today means that it's still important and that the work that we do, the effort that we put into taking care of people matters.
You probably noticed on your way in the building today that we've got stones out there, and it's based on David and Goliath. These are the 5 stones we're going to take to battle. So before we had a mission statement, we had these stones. We've got faith, quality, innovation, passion, and integrity is one of those stones. And so that speaks directly to the ethics of this company, and that we always hold ourselves to the utmost standards. I think finding unbiased news today is rare. If it was not fair, quality news, people wouldn't hang on to it. They trust us, and we take that very sincerely.
You know, before Community Impact Newspaper started, there was this idea in the newspaper industry that the insiders were the ones who got to know the information first, and it's gotten even worse as the industry has evolved. It's becoming more expensive to pay for news, and I love the fact that our newspaper's mission is that everyone deserves to know what's happening in their own backyard. And to me, that's just, that's fair. Why is it just the people who have enough money or just the insiders? Why are they the ones that get to know whether or not a big development's coming behind their backyard? We think that everyone deserves to know this information, and it's part of the higher, we think, a moral authority that as a company that we have in our mission to inform citizens about what's happening around them.
Okay, thank you. Well, what we'd like to do next is open it up for questions, because I'm sure some of you are probably sitting there thinking, well, what about this? My company may not have this. You know, what can we do here? So I'd like to just open it up for questions. Don?
So to understand the nomination process, how does somebody like myself nominate a potential candidate in one of these categories?
Sure, good question. There's a variety of ways. You can go to the recognizedgood.org website and send in a nomination. You can contact any of us. I tell people all you need to do is supply me with a name and a contact, and I will do the rest. So you do not have to prepare information and gather information to submit. You just give us a name and a telephone number or email contact. And typically I like to use your name so that when I'm making that call or sending out that email, I can refer to you as nominating. But you can nominate through the end of the year. We will be taking nominations even the first week in January before school starts. That's kind of cutting it close, but we're willing to keep it open. So we are still actively accepting nominations now. Good question. Yes.
That what if I don't have something?
Right.
For instance, a site. We don't have a site. We have membership. We have meetings. We have various things. We do not have a site.
And that's fine.
I mean, is that something really atypical that you'd be like?
No, it's not atypical at all. And in fact, with all of the individuals, typically we would do those in interviews. We'd meet with people in a coffee shop, or no, we're very flexible if there's no site. That is not atypical. Yeah.
Okay.
Means you don't have overhead, right?
No, we don't.
Lynette, some people have asked me this question: if they're a very small business or they're, a fairly new business, some of the policies haven't been formalized.
Right.
They're not on their website.
Right.
They may have an employee handbook, but they don't go into a lot of the other things. How do you handle that?
Again, that is something we have seen. It's especially in the small business. Everyone will be different with what they have and what they don't have, and we understand that. So there's not a checklist that we have that says if you don't have this, you're out. We don't have that, and that's where the stories are important. That's where we like to see if a company says this is what we value. We like to see it lived out. We like to see it as a part of their organization, and there have been several like that. I think there was an office supply company, a small office supply company that won it a couple of years ago, and I think one of the reasons that they won it, at least from my perspective, is they were very open, and they didn't have a lot of these policies, and yet their employees really spoke to about their owners and the way the organization was run, and had those stories to tell us. So certainly that is the case, especially in the small business. We tend to see a lot of policies and manuals and handbooks in the large business, and not so much in the small business and the nonprofits. So One other thing, a question, I'm sorry, that is often asked that I forgot to mention is the video. So if you are a finalist, a video will be made, and this will be done. Concordia does not do that. That'll be a separate visit that will happen that they'll be coordinated with you. So.
Yes.
When can we start, if we have been nominated, when can we start announcing to our stakeholders the exciting news?
If you've already formally accepted the nomination, you can begin at this time. So the next process will be once they begin their research phase at mid-January, then at the end of February, we have an alumni event on Concordia campus where we invite past winners and our nominees and the student bodies there as well, and recognize good board members, and we announce the 3 finalists for each category then. So you can begin announcing it and at this time.
Yeah. That event is on here. It is February 26th, and it will be an announcement, and it will also be a chance when some of the other students can ask some questions also about ethics.
Yes, in the back, yeah. Right, when you said, I'm good, Charlie, we're good to go. And some of you guys said, well, let me come to the nomination seminar and find out a little bit more about it. And don't worry, I'll be hounding you if I have any questions that you haven't, so. Okay.
So I have a question from past experience, just the process of dealing, working with the students is a real value to the company, and it certainly has questions. The question I have is on the finalists, do the finalists get a copy of the report that's written by the students?
We have not done that in the past, and yet if a finalist wanted the report, I would be glad to share it.
Okay. All right. So one thing I do want to bring up, because some people asked me about this, which I thought was a great question when I called them, was that there is nothing that you have to submit to us at this time. So some awards that people have participated in the past, you've had to go through this long application process. We don't have that. So basically, the students will be the researchers. They'll be asking for information, and they'll also be researching information on the internet about your company or about you. And I tell nominees to, be thinking though, and start your little list and be gathering information that will help them, because the more that they know about you, the better they can paint the picture of you as an individual or a nonprofit or business, and portray your image. And that's what we're really wanting to do here.
Is there any tracking of these students that go in and become intimate with corporations, that they come out of college and go to work for any of these organizations?
Well,
We have had students that have been hired by the people that they have interviewed, yes.
in fact, our last video is an individual, Sarah Panton, that won the individual award, and she hired an intern, which was the student that interviewed her and was part of the process. So we do see that, and that's really, I think that's probably one of the most unique things about this process, is engaging future leaders and giving students an opportunity to get firsthand experience and getting to know business owners and individuals and nonprofits in the community, and then being able to use that information and not have to go out in the corporate world and find out, another way, but really getting to understand that. It prepares them from an HR perspective, and being an HR professional, and many of you here are from HR as well. You know that a lot of times those young professionals don't always know the questions to ask about your corporation and your group, and this gives them a good opportunity to be looking for what makes a good organization and a healthy organization. And we feel that, you know, a strong ethical organization is probably going to be a strong, healthy organization as well as a nonprofit. And so we're excited to engage the students at Concordia. Okay? Yes?
Are there restrictions on businesses or nonprofits winning the award or being nominated more than every year, anything like that?
No, in fact, we have had nonprofits that have been finalists 2 or 3 years before they won it. When you attend the awards ceremony and you see the video clips of the 3 finalists, people turn to each other and they go, wow, how could you even pick? I mean, these are wonderful individuals and companies. How can you? So it's not uncommon for people to be nominated multiple times and even to be a finalist multiple times before they get the final. So there's no, John, is there any, no, I didn't think so.
So you could win it as a nonprofit and then later on win it as an individual?
Absolutely. And sometimes that happens, you know, that someone with a company that won it will also be nominated another year as an individual. And, you know, it's a little bit different selection criteria, but absolutely. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the last video, and then if you have any other follow-up questions, we can address them as a group, or we'll be around to visit with you.
Really, ethics is a reverence for life and how you demonstrate that with everything you do, because I happen to think ethics is everywhere. It's not just limited to your personal life, your community, or your business life. It surrounds us. Practicing ethics in both personal and business life is not that difficult if you have your own true north, your own compass set properly. It's really not too much of a balancing act, if you will. But you do think about balance because we have a set amount of time to devote to family, our career, our giving back. So for me, I go with some codes, if you will, of service. And in serving others, it's not just confined to one of those spaces. Again, it's all of these things. So with that, if you think about the work that I have done in Rotary, we go by some basic tenets that have to do with, is it good for all concerned? Is it fair? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And so when you practice that, it's not limited to either personal or business. Sometimes you know what ethics is, but you also have to know what it isn't. We know we don't want to follow that path. And so that's where a code of ethics, you know, and that moral compass come in to play, is that I want to go back to my true north. I want to avoid those unethical practices and decisions.
Okay, great. Well, if we don't have any other questions before we close, Dawn?
Dominate the questions. But
That's okay.
You touched on wellness in corporations. That's a big concern with healthcare reform going forward. So can you tell us a little bit about that criteria?
Wellness is sort of an example of something that we would look for in the respecting others and respecting the individual. And, you know, sometimes it may be a wellness program. It's not a specific criteria where, say, an organization didn't have that, maybe a small one, or nonprofits or various ones may or may not have that. But that's just something we've tended to see is an employee wellness program.
So just so I understand, that's just an example.
That's an example, yes.
So there could be a variety of different types of employee wellness employee well-being programs. Wellness program could be one of them. Another organization may have a volunteer day or some other type of employee well-being or work from home day or whatever.
That respecting category is really about how do you enhance the life of the people that are impacted by you and your organization.
Any other questions? John, do you have any closing remarks? Lynette, closing remarks?
I really appreciate you all being here. I've said it before and I'll say it 1,000 times during the process. It truly changes the lives of our students. So I'm thankful for your participation.
All right. Thank you, guys.